Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back. This is InugamiTheHound. I'm back once again. Hopefully, you guys are having an amazing fun time. I'm doing this quick little stream before I go to TFF. Maybe about an hour, hour and a half. Trying to go too long. As you can see, what is some good stuff? I gotta find some good content. I need to sit down and uh fuck, vote on that thing. Maybe my next Twitch reaction stream should be that. Let's see this. Let's see. That could be an interesting video. Would you fuse the May talking about Switch 2's piece? Uh, Man, is there no furry content right now? You think there would be a lot? I mean, there's some good content I might want to react to, but I'm trying. All right. All right. Let's check this one out. Oh,
Uh-oh, there's a little problem for Tulsi. Tulsi Gabbard is now Donald Trump's director of
let's see. Can you guys hear?
national intelligence. She swore under
Okay. All right. Just double checking to make sure that you guys can hear the video and hear me, because like sometimes.
oath last year that she is a resident of the state of Texas. And then in November of 2024, she voted in Hawaii. Yes. According to a new CNN investigation, Tulsi
Wait,
Gabbard and her husband bought a house near Austin.
wait, Hawaii. Why would you vote in Hawaii? I thought you hated, that blue state, Hawaii, just like you hate California and New York and Illinois and Colorado and Washington and Oregon. Those evil blue states.
In Texas. They filed official documents declaring themselves residents of the state of Texas. That also lets them claim a Texas homestead tax exemption. That is something only available, in theory, to people living in a property as their primary residence, which is where you vote. And then Tulsi Gabbard cast her vote in Hawaii.
Wait, didn't that happen before with someone else? Was it? Oh shit, what was his name? Was it with I think it was like in Pennsylvania, right? With Dr. Oz. Same thing.
A state whose voting laws are very clear. If you take a homestead exemption somewhere else, like Texas, that's a signal that you have abandoned your Hawaii residency, meaning you can't vote here. So, what's going on here? Because either Tulsi lied when she said she was a Texas resident to get the homestead exemption, or she lied by voting in Hawaii after officially moving to Texas. Both things can't be kosher. You can't have it both ways. And to make this even more absurd, Tulsi's lawyers have come up with an explanation. They say, no, no, no. She never meant to stop being a Hawaii resident, despite the fact that when you swear an oath in Texas that your new house is your permanent home and declare a homestead exemption, you are saying exactly that. Tulsi's lawyers are also saying that the tax break was just to keep her address private. Apparently, it didn't matter that she signed a legal document saying otherwise. So let's pause here to remember Tulsi Gabbard is part of the same Trump administration cadre that has been screaming about voter fraud and election integrity now for a long time. Since she became a MAGAite, Tulsi's been on the whole voter fraud train. Trump has spent years without evidence claiming that Democrats abuse the system. But now his own intelligence director is pulling a real life, I live in two states when it's convenient sort of thing. Election law experts are sounding the alarm. One said that this raises a bunch of questions. Another said that this can trigger an investigation into either her Hawaii voter registration or her Texas tax filing. I would say, why not both? And this is not a technicality. Voters are required to have one residence for voting. One. Hawaii's rules say you claim homestead tax exemption elsewhere, you're presumed not to live in Hawaii, period. You don't vote here. That's what the law says. And meanwhile, Tulsi Gabbard is spending a lot of time in Texas. She's been on Fox News with the Texas State Capitol in the background. She's filmed at a shooting range outside Austin. She lists her Texas home as her personal residence on every government disclosure. But
Okay, so she is lying. She's using Texas for taxes, just like so many other people who come to Texas, whether from California, New York, Florida. But,
she hasn't registered to vote in Texas. Why is that? Maybe because she already voted, just not in the state that she claims to live in. And of course, we already knew she had no business being director of national intelligence. And this only reinforces that. Think about if the shoe were on the other foot. If this were a Democrat, MAGA world would be melting down. There would be congressional hearings. Voter fraud exposed. Dem DNI, voting in a state where she doesn't live. But it's a Trump official. It's crickets. This isn't a real concern. So we see the pattern. The pattern is always.
It said even CNN calls them out. CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, a bunch of other people call these people out, and it doesn't matter because it's not Fox News. If it's not Fox News calling them out, then no one's going to care, which is really, really fucking sad because it just shows that they only watch Fox News. I mean, I literally came downstairs. My dad was just watching fucking Fox News. That's it. He kept on going on and on about trans people, trans people. And yeah, nothing about this. Nothing about Tulsi Gabbard. Nothing about any of these people.
The loudest voices shouting about election integrity are often the ones breaking the rules, or at least bending them as far as they can until they snap. Tulsi says she cares about voter fraud. She should look in the mirror. Oh, and this is another amazing detail. She may also have defrauded the VA. Tulsi and her husband got a loan on their house in Texas. That loan was executed in 2024. At the time that she got that loan, she applied for homestead as well. VA loans are for a primary residence. Tulsi's mortgage says by law for these VA loans, this is your primary residence. And yet she's not voting out of this residence. She's voting in Hawaii, seemingly in contravention to Hawaii's laws about voting, residency, and homestead exemption. Will this go anywhere? I hate to say it, but probably not. I wish that I could say, no, this stuff is taken really seriously. Nothing is taken seriously when it's a Trump official. That's the name of the game. So glad you're with us today. We've got a packed show. Make sure you're getting my newsletter. You can email info@davidpakman.com and say, sign me up, David. Or you can simply sign yourself up at davidpakman.com. You'll see where to type in your email sort of near the top right of the page. We'll take a quick break and be right back. I want to introduce you to an amazing tool that has helped a huge number of people reach their health goals. It is called Lumen, and it's the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath, and on the app, it'll tell you, are you burning fat or carbs, and give you tailored guidance to improve nutrition, workouts, even stress management. Your metabolism is like the engine of your body, how you turn food into fuel. And because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health can translate to many benefits, including easier weight management and improved energy levels and fitness results. It's a long list. Lumen gives you recommendations to improve metabolic health based on the context of your breath measurement, whether that's first thing in the morning, before and after meals or workouts. And you can get 20% off your Lumen by going to lumen.
Man, if I had the money, maybe I should get some of this type of stuff. But I know I am poor AF. I mean, the only way I can get some of this shit is somehow I become a very well-known affiliate or somehow get partner. Then that's the only way. I mean, that's the only way I can change my life, man. Because I'm stuck in minimum wage jobs for the rest of my life. All right, let's see. Ooh, what's this?
Donald Trump claims that we're doing really well on our tariff policy. Yeah, it's going so well for America, our biggest trading partners are starting to hang out without us. Maybe they just lost our number or something. This is just another day. It's been a wild week. Thanks to Tariff Palooza, Trump single-handedly dragged the global economy into the upside down. He rattled investors, stoked fears among everyday Americans, then inexplicably hit pause on the tariffs that he swore he would never pause. Which is odd because...
promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises.
But, whatever.
You know, keep saying his promises, except for the ones to the rich. All right.
The thing I like about this administration is that while they may not be great at economic policy or obeying court orders or tackling the most urgent matters, at least they understand how to reflect the mood of the country.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday? We are a week into the worst market downturn since the Great Depression. Caroline Levitt would be the flight attendant still passing out peanuts on the Hindenburg. In what world is this a happy Friday? Please, do tell.
In more excellent economic news that was released yesterday, the Consumer Price Index report showed inflation fell to 2.4% in March, smashing expectations for the second straight month in a row. This marked the first drop in consumer prices dating all the way back to the COVID pandemic. Prescription drug prices saw the largest monthly decline on record. Prices for airfare, used vehicles, and car insurance all decreased as well. And energy prices fell 2.4% in March.
And don't forget, another thing a lot of people don't know is that he signed a bunch of executive orders, you know, open up land, national parks, and all that, and coal to destroy the environment. And let's see, okay, I'm gonna FYI. Damn, why am I? Yeah.
March, driven by plummeting gas prices around the country.
Wow, very impressive. Except for that pesky little detail that all of those statistics are from March. You know, pre-Liberation Day? You might as well put out a mission accomplished banner to prove that we've won the war on the economy. But what I, and apparently the rest of the world, are missing is that now is not the time for questions or analysis. It clearly is the time for gratitude.
And I just want to give the president and his trade team credit for taking this on. This is a massive undertaking. There's no doubt about it. We take it very seriously. The president is determined to renegotiate global trade on behalf of American workers. And again, you've seen people on both sides of the aisles calling for this for years, but I think no other president lacked the courage or maybe the work ethic or the stamina to take on such a task.
That's right. If April 2nd was deemed Liberation Day, from this day forward, April 11th shall be known as Where the Hell is Your Appreciation Day?
We finally have someone in the White House saying enough is enough.
Sorry.
And it happens to be the guy who authored The Art of the Deal. I'm going to peg my money on the guy authoring The Art of the Deal.
And a thank you given to Elon Musk.
How about a thank you for the transparency that he and the Doge team have put out there? You can go onto the website right now. They've got a live tracker for Doge, and it shows dollar per dollar how much they have saved the American taxpayer. That is you, America. This is volunteer work being done by the world's richest man. And instead of getting a thank you, his employees are getting attacked. There's about 119,000 of them. Vehicles are being attacked. Dealerships are being torched. And he is being completely open and honest with all the work that they are doing. In fact, that entire...
Yeah, man, fuck Elon Musk, my friend. Everyone was telling him to go. Everyone was telling him, he should end himself, on his live streams. Maybe you should do that, my friend. No one likes you, man. You're a fake gamer.
Team is a bunch of very wealthy people that could be, I don't know, sitting on an island they bought instead of trying to help the American economy, come back.
First of all, 60% of Americans would love it if Elon and the rest of his Doge team went island shopping tomorrow. And I know that because of a recent poll cited on Republicans' favorite network.
Meanwhile, a new Quinnipiac poll is revealing how Americans feel about Elon Musk's Doge cuts. This is really, really interesting. 60% say they don't approve of how the agency is dealing with federal...
60%? It should be 99.9%. Fuck off, man.
...workers.
But when it comes to Trump, I think the reason for the withholding of the thank you cards is because his masterful art of the deal tactics don't seem to be working.
President Xi Jinping on Friday urged the EU to join China in defending globalization and opposing unilateral acts of bullying. That was a clear swipe at renewed US tariffs under President Donald Trump. The comments, Xi's first publicly since Trump's tariff move, are also a sign of how Beijing is looking to mend its straining relationship with the EU to weather the trade war with the US.
Yep, Trump went all bouncer at a nightclub with one of our biggest trading partners, telling China they couldn't come into our awesome party unless they paid an insane cover charge. And China was all, screw that, I'll just go kick it with the EU across the street. And the EU was happy to have him because the same bouncer has also been telling the EU that their house belongs to him, which is not good bouncer etiquette if you want people to come into your party. So what is happening here? If the brilliant negotiating strategy by King of the Deal Makers was to shore up American supremacy and isolate China by imposing ridiculously steep tariffs, then why did he also impose across-the-board tariffs on the rest of the world, especially our allies?
That was the whole idea, supposedly, behind this trade agreement, was to get everybody in Asia and us and it's like 12 countries against China, isolate them. But now I don't know if we have friends anymore.
Exactly. Trump pledged to make America first, and we are first in line, Problem is, there's no one behind us. Even if, by some miracle, these tariffs prove to be slightly beneficial for the United States, which numerous economists say they won't, there's a separate cost to being erratic with our trade policy, and that is the world doesn't trust you anymore.
Why would any of our allies work with us to isolate?
And the crazy part is, like, everyone's, Canada, Mexico, Europe, China, Japan, South Korea, I guess India, all working together. The only allies we have left is, what, Russia, Belarus? We hate Cuba and Venezuela and Iran. We don't like Syria. We could have, unfortunately, we're bombing Palestine. We could have Palestine as an ally, but we don't. We have Israel instead, but hey, I'll still support Israel no matter what.
Isolate China in a trade war if we're treating friend and foe alike?
You'll have to talk to our allies who are reaching out to us. The phones are ringing off of the hooks.
Right, I forgot. The phones have been ringing off the hooks. And remind me, who is it that's been incessantly calling?
And what about the deals? We want to see deals. We want to see win after win after win. We want to see countries coming into the White House signing deals. When will that happen? And which countries?
Well, I'm not going to name the countries yet.
Got it. You're not on TV to provide insight or clarity during times of economic turmoil, more of a trust us kind of thing. But by imposing tariffs, pausing tariffs, not to mention flaunting the beautiful mind level equation that he definitely did not use to come up with these tariffs, Trump has diminished the reliability and credibility of the United States by creating the one thing that the economy hates more than anything else, instability. And the worst part about all of this, dude's celebrating.
Why is he optimistic that China's going to make a deal or wants to make a deal if they're not talking? Where's that optimism come from?
He's optimistic.
Because he said so? Somebody celebrating after getting their asses handed to them isn't the sign of a strong leader, it is the sign of a sociopath. Trump's like that guy biting his metal, popping the champagne, telling the rest of the world to fuck off, all after coming in third place. If Trump wants to cruise around in a golf cart posting delusional messages about how...
And, don't forget, he also was, in the fucking golf cart, and he didn't go and pay respects to the fallen soldiers that died in Lithuania.
How well everything is going, all while Americans experience a rise in costs, layoffs, and overall anxiety, then on this inaugural Gratitude Day, let me be the first to say, thanks a
Okay.
fucking lot.
All right, man. I know everyone's watching Apothecary Diaries. Just maybe check that out. Let's see. Heads to the Grand Canyon. Okay, let's check this out.
Today I'll be reacting to Shocked Brit.
In the morning.
Oh, never mind. Sorry. Should I? Oh man, should I cut this part actually? Arizona. Anyone watching from Arizona? I'm talking.
That's Arizona. That's Hoover Dam right there, man.
To you.
So I've decided to stop and get some gas because it says last stop.
Okay, guys, that's the problem, right? Let's all be real here. That's the problem. With that type of car, you probably have to spend a good amount in, filling the tank. How much, I have no idea, but...
On the gas station sign, but now we're just realizing the actual... It's not that it's the last stop, it's the actual place is called Last Stop. Very smart. Look at this place. Jesus.
Massive. Imagine a Buc-ee's.
Let's see. What are European reactions on a... Let's see. Brits react to shooting guns for the first time in America. Let's check this out.
In consideration, friends, I repeat myself a lot, but I cannot freezing, okay.
Holy shit, mate, look at that.
Oh my god, they even have sniper.
Yeah, that's a Beretta, we got MP5, we got Tommy gun here, Scar, AK, I think that's an RPK, RPD up there with the drum.
Snipers? You can shoot a sniper, my friend.
Barrett 50.
But you don't need any type of license to shoot a sniper.
The Vector, Thompson, Tommy gun. Oh shit, yeah, the big 50 cal. Watch me quick.
Damn, that guy knows a lot.
Brewing.
Browning in it?
Browning, maybe?
Browning. That's a Browning machine gun.
You know what? I don't recognize. I mean, maybe I'm lying. I know the
19.
M4. I actually believe I know this one, the 12. Is this a SCAR or something? I know this because of a video game, you know?
Yeah, SCAR 17. The Ithaca shotgun.
I know the
MP40.
AK, of course.
Yeah. The Dig.
Quink.
This is sick. This is cool. Kind of nervous. Me and Nathan just got to go ahead for this big boy. Could be
Oh, friends, it's normal in America to make a collection of weapons because if you are into this, I assume this is very fun.
America.
You can collect guns, pistols, revolvers, black powder rifles. Anything is pretty easy to collect, with the exception of like a machine gun. You need a lot of license and papers and all a bunch of bullshit. So mostly, the only people who really buy those are usually extremely rich people or people that own a gun shop and they want you to shoot it.
Oh boy.
Let me get my glasses on.
Wait, you need glasses?
Oh yeah.
Left or right hand, sir? Right hand. All right, right on.
Let's go, Nate.
Hell yeah, make sure
Okay, let's see his friend. Damn. Why so powerful?
Yeah. Well, it's indoors, so it's gonna be even louder.
You the bullet.
Holy.
Perfect. Fire when you're ready. Once you realize, like, TV and movies are complete bullshit.
The power in that.
That's a dangerous gun, yeah. The wild thing is nobody uses that anymore.
Yeah, I can see why.
They used to use it in Israel,
Right.
in special forces, because it could stop a vehicle. That'll literally go through an engine block and everything. So they were using it to stop vehicles. They tried using them for hunting, too much. They tried using it for all kinds of stuff, too much. Yeah. Here, you got a couple more. Yeah, fuck coffee.
That might be the most terrifying.
That gun to me was like a shotgun.
So he's probably using a Desert Eagle 50 AE, 50 Action Express.
Or something. What was that?
Sound I've ever heard in my life.
He always said he was better at me at Call of Duty. Oh, you know what?
Oh, really good.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah, especially for full auto. That's really good.
Ah, shit.
Plus your Deagle, I mean, look, it's immaculate, right? Yeah. It's all polished walnut, all this other stuff.
So is that from World War II?
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep, and I matched the
$300 for that.
Yeah, and I got it appraised at $5,800.
Wow.
Right through the length of the car, came out the front and everything, and we don't know where it ended up. But yeah, it kept going. It's just, this is really easy.
Jesus.
Okay.
Cheek right down on here, and then with your
Like, see the lady?
right through there. See that red dot? There it is. Fire when you're ready.
I think it's my turn now, is it?
Nice.
Oh dear.
All right, let's see what this guy can do. Yeah. Because I think they find a Desert Eagle.
Adam, let's go.
Up with your 240 Bravo at the very
Adam, you are representing all the people that react to American stuff. Please do well.
Alright.
if he does well, I feel like I'm doing well. I know this is weird, but there is a connection. Oh, let's go. I'm nervous. You know what? Adam is strong. Look at, oh my, damn.
Good, didn't you? Mine's going to be terrible, isn't it?
Left or right hand, sir?
Right-handed.
Nice. So nice second with that right. Wrap that left. Keep those thumbs down. Arms straight out. Right eye. This circle right in that square.
Okay.
So it was like, I think it's an M1911. Yeah, M1911.
Yo, he's a professional, my friends. Adam did so well on this one.
I got one the red there, you know.
Yeah, you did. I saw it.
Very little recoil, right? The guy was really... Oh my... Okay, see, this is the secret. He is very strong. You know what? I will be going like this. Oh no, this will be bad for me. But Adam, congrats, my friend. This was awesome.
Let's go.
Right shoulder.
Oh, but now, my friends, is where we separate men from the boys.
Here, cheek here, and lean forward. Right
Yeah,
eye,
do
you'll
it,
see
my
a
friend.
red dot sight.
Okay, my friends, let's see. He did very well last
Let's
time.
see.
And then look right through here.
I can't see if
Lift
it's
up a
angle.
little bit.
Oh, yeah.
What was he
There it
trying?
is.
Wait.
Is it MP5?
Wow.
Yeah, you can see the Desert Eagle right there. Pretty useless.
Hell yeah.
Yo, my friends, the precision, Adam, is the professional.
Yeah, that's... Well, it looks like he's pressing, I think, is that the magazine right there? Or maybe a grip. Probably helping him out. So he's firing in like, what, 2-3 round bursts.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, Adam did so well. Okay. Okay, my friends. Oh, this video is crazy. Actually, let me ask you one thing. I'm coming to America this year, and I'm going to Texas. And I feel in Texas, I have a lot of places to try this.
All right, let's see. I think it's like under, over, or over, under. I think. Oh, over, under shotgun, or side by side shotgun. Pump action shotgun. Click on. Let's see. All right, there you
Should
go.
I do it? Leave me a like if you think this is a crazy experience that I need to have on my trip to America. I never even touch it again, my friends. But on the other hand, Adam, wow, he is doing so well. Leave a like and I will go to one of those. Okay, let's be real. Really good for a British, average for an American. But now being serious, how well do you guys think he's doing for the first time shooting again? I mean, I think him being strong helps here a bit, right? Because he can be very strong with a gun.
There's a couple in the black parts there, it's not too good, like. Yeah.
Oh, the M4, my friends, the legendary M4.
Right up under here.
Do you guys know M4?
Attachments on here?
Yep.
Spitting fire.
Jesus, that smells crazy, isn't it? That's so sick, like.
Gunpowder,
I feel
maybe.
like I go for a run now.
Right, seriously. All right, so you did what the good guys do, now we do what the bad guys do. AK.
Ooh, the AK. Another legendary weapon.
The whole trick is just lean as fuck.
Alright, maybe him.
Far forward as you can. Right eye, this point, right in that little notch.
Okay.
Wait, but I associate the AK with, terrorists and stuff like that.
It's Russian.
The American military uses this one. No, right?
Grab
Okay,
that
work.
grip right
No.
right
Oh,
here.
okay, here we go.
But we're very, very familiar from Vietnam, obviously. We helped in Afghanistan, Iraq again, Afghanistan again, Syria, Libya. So we're very familiar with the gun. You can buy and collect, semi-autos here in America pretty easily. And honestly, we sometimes, we may not have the gun itself, but we usually give money, let's say, to Ukraine or some, Yugoslav country. They might go out and buy some AKs because you can still buy them pretty cheap. A lot of countries in the western half of Europe and of Yugoslavia and North Africa have a whole bunch of them, so you can buy them pretty cheap. Like, hey, we need some guns. We're getting invaded by Russia. Let's give us some AKs.
Nice and tight in that shoulder. Fire.
Ooh, it's an underfolder. That's rare.
Ooh, this one is not doing that well, I feel like, my friends.
Yeah.
The bullets are going a bit all over the place.
Hey, no wonder they always lose.
Yeah. AKs are terrible guns. They suck.
Okay, there is an explanation.
I'm glad you got to realize that. Right? It's funny. We have a say like everybody wants to shoot an AK until they shoot.
Until they shoot one.
These are shit guns.
I think that is because it's again that you've seen a lot of video games and stuff like that. These are really.
It depends on the AK. Like, obviously, you have the AK-47, well, AKM, really. Then you have the underfolder, side folder. Then, honestly, you have, like, the AK-74 series. And now you have the AK-100 series, which 101, 102, 103. Those are a lot better. They're a lot less, like, weak. Like, not a lot more reliable. And, not as bad on the recoil. The only one that we don't have is the AN-94, the one with the hyperburst. Unfortunately, we don't have that one.
Famous gun. I think you think about the M4, the AK. Those two are such famous rifles.
Whew.
But maybe it's really bad,
It
right?
fucking is. Aren't they?
Yeah, you get a different appreciation.
Like the contrast in the guns is insane.
Yes.
Like going from the M4 to that AK is.
Oh yeah, and the reason why the M4 is so much better, obviously, much higher tolerance. You have the buffer tube. It's you have it's not a short stroke, no long stroke gas piston. I think it's like gas impingement or something like that. It's been a while. I remember.
Exactly.
It's insane, yeah.
That's insane.
Exactly.
You know what, my friends? I'm gonna pause. Andre, why? Because I want you guys to go to his channel and show some love. Just say, Adam, love you coming from Andre. I saw his reaction. I came here to leave you a like. Something like that. Because I know his video will do better than mine. But I know he does not mind me reacting to his content. But I still think it's important to show some love. Go there. I'm waiting. Oh, you guys, okay, you guys already did that. Link on the description.
Where do I just anywhere?
Anywhere you like.
Damn, this
Look at
was
that.
fun, my friends.
You hear about too.
Holy.
I'm doing the light machine gun now. This big boy.
A machine gun? Is that legal?
Oh god.
No
See
way.
what a $60,000 gun looks like.
Holy lord. Oh my god.
This is a sniper machine gun.
Not a sniper machine gun. Just a machine
You
gun.
guys saw the scope?
This thing is fucking amazing. It just looks wild, is it?
That's great technology.
Oh shit.
Get yourself in there then. Alright. So like this, left hand over top, cheek right on your hand. And with your right eye you'll see a red dot sight.
Uh-huh.
Now this gun loves to run, so just pull the trigger as hard as you can.
Oh,
just
let it
let
fly?
out. Oh yeah.
Oh, oh man. This is the gun that Rambo ended up using, I feel like.
Yeah, Rambo is like
Look at all the
And then
bullets
where's my
there.
left hand?
That hand right
Here.
over here. Yup.
There we go.
Now you guys maybe wonder, Andre, do you know what are you talking about guns? I have no idea, my friends. I'm just, saying some words.
See that red? Nice. Send it.
Holy fuck.
Fuck
You
yeah.
fire.
I nearly fucking fell, man. That is wild. That is awesome. Look at the bullets. What is that smell? Ammonium? And you're putting my fucking tooth out? Oh, don't look at this. Oh, no. Don't look at that.
Feel like I should not shoot that one, my friends, when I go to Texas. That seems too crazy to me.
Nah, not great.
I mean, but the machine gun, is difficult to be precise, right?
Probably be dead.
Hey, well,
That's
look,
terrific,
I
yeah.
got them.
And then some. This gun was
No, the guy would be
mainly
there.
just for like
I feel like.
finishing off. Like give you a prime,
They're down there, like.
Yeah.
Gulag.
Anywhere, you get hit with any one of these. I mean, these are hunting rounds essentially.
That's so cool. Jesus.
Damn, impressive.
Well, ladies and gents, that was absolutely insane.
Wow.
But yeah, great activity. 100% recommend if you haven't done it.
I will do it.
Go watch.
Okay, my friends, show him some love, like I said.
Alright. Hopefully my comment helps him out. Alright. So should go trip Texas and it was lesbian. God, I fucking hate Dr. Phil, sorry. Let's see, I just deal with.
Have you ever seen an Amazon delivery? These guys literally either just throw out the package and then kick the door and run away.
Alright, yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna check out some other stuff. Let's see. I'm excited for Wild Salt. Let's see. Ooh, let's check this out.
We continue to follow the breaking news this morning. What is the stock market going to do because of this? China hitting back at the United States with an added 50% in retaliatory tariffs, bringing that total of tariffs on U.S. imports to 84%. Also setting in as we speak, President Trump's targeted tariffs, which include a combined 104% on Chinese goods. Now, this is rocking global markets, with Americans caught in the middle and staring down a reality that prices on most everything are likely to go up. CNN's Harry Enton is looking at that today and how that makes Americans stuck in the middle feel. How are Americans so far baseline feeling about tariffs at the moment?
They hate them. They hate them, and it's going in the wrong direction. I mean, look at this. Trump's tariff deal. You know, you go back to January, it was 48% who favored, 46% who opposed, so slightly more who favored than opposed. Look at where we are now in April. 54% opposed, 42% favor. Opposition's going up, favor's going down. This, bottom line, is a political loser for Donald Trump, and he is losing the messaging battle on this. Americans might have been a little open to the idea of tariffs coming into this administration, but since then...
Well, I would like to be the one. I would like to be on the opposite. I never was in favor of any of these tariffs. I never voted for the man. I voted against him because I think these tariffs ideas are really, really fucking stupid. Sorry.
Their opposition through the roof, Kate Baldwin.
We've heard from a lot of people that Donald Trump's supporters, they have more of an appetite to feel pain for longer than maybe when you're looking at the broader electorate. That is, for one thing, that we have definitely heard. On the question, though, that we've heard more and more growing fears that this could all lead to a recession. Some CEOs saying they think we're already in one. What are you hearing about that?
Yeah, so this is interesting, right? We've been talking about Wall Street, and we've been talking about whether what happens on Wall Street is an indication of what will happen on Main Street. And take a look here. These are recession chances, chance of a recession, according to J.P. Morgan. In early March, it was already 40%. Look at where it is now, 60%, a majority. How about Goldman Sachs? In early March, it was 20%. Look at where we are now, 45%. At best case at this point, it seems to me, at least according to the experts, the chance of a recession is 50-50 when you average it all together. What is happening on Wall Street, at least at this particular point, has a pretty good chance of spilling into Main Street. And those folks who are thinking those tariffs are just something that are happening down in the stock exchange in New York City aren't coming to them. They may be in for a rude awakening and a rude surprise, Kate.
The real impact on people's lives is what matters most, but you know also in any White House, one of the things that they have to be worried about is the political impact on the president as well. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, look here. I mean, the economy has traditionally been Donald Trump's strength, right? You go back April of 2017, his net approval rating on the economy was plus 5 points. It was positive pretty much throughout his entire first term. Look at where we are now, minus 12 points. All of a sudden...
I don't know how he had a very good fucking points on the economy. He didn't do anything to grow the economy. He just inherited Obama's economy and then ran into the ground in less than 4 years. And Biden spent 4 years fixing that economy, and look how great it was. Now everyone's like thinking, man, I hope next time, beyond 2026 and 2028, don't vote for any dumb Republicans who are in favor of these stupid ass policies. They need to get out of the 1800s, my friend, and come into the 21st century.
Of Donald Trump has become a weakness of Donald Trump. It's one of his weakest positions. And more than that, at the beginning of this administration, his net approval rating on the economy was plus 6 points, minus 12 points now. It's fallen nearly 20 points over the course of less than 3 months, Kate. Very clear that's a very big drop.
That's real.
That is real. It is very clear that the American people do not like what's going on with this tariff plan, do not like Donald Trump's plans for the economy, and they're taking it out on Donald Trump. And that's why his economic approval rating is falling, and that is why his overall approval rating is also falling. This could be the thing that we look back. Right now, his economic approval rating is swimming with the fishes, so far underwater.
Remember, unfortunately, Biden's, approval rating, unfortunately, went down pretty badly because of Afghanistan. That wasn't really his fault. He withdrew us from Afghanistan, and unfortunately, some soldiers died, defending the plane. That's what happens.
Could be that this could take Donald Trump's political career and make it swimming with the fishes as well.
Let's see what happens in the next 24 hours.
We shall see.
Furry, thank you very much.
All crazy.
You know how that.
Joining us now, pollster and communications strategist Frank Luntz to talk a little bit about this. So, Frank, President Trump is delivering on his campaign promise to impose tariffs, perhaps over-delivering, as we talk to some of his supporters who are feeling this in a way that perhaps they didn't expect. How are voters seeing it?
Let's take a look, and I have to work backwards from Election Day, because Senator Tillis is onto something. It's not just what happens on Election Day, it's before that. The average voter makes up their mind who they're going to support around Labor Day. It's as though they have a lunch or a dinner with friends. They sit around the table, they talk about politics, economics, culture, and they make that decision. So Donald Trump definitely has time. There's a big but here, which is we've not seen a collapse in the market like this. We've not seen anything so clearly tied to a policy decision. The last time we saw anything.
All right, BRB.
Like this was COVID, and that is clearly not what this is about. So in the end, are you more safe and secure today than you were 3 months ago? Do you believe the future is going to be better than the past? Are you going to have more?
No. I was much better back in 2024 than I'm in 2025. 2024, not perfect. But I would take, $4 for, a carton of eggs and say, $10 or $15.
More money in your pockets tomorrow than you do today. All these questions which are being answered yes on Inauguration Day are being answered no right now. And so Donald Trump's numbers have suffered. And one last point. It's not Republicans because they back him no matter what he does. And it's not Democrats because they oppose him no matter what he does. We're looking at independents. And by better than 2-to-1, independents do not like this policy because they think that it is too much, too harsh, too fast, and that it's not being well received. That does not mean this takes down Donald Trump's agenda. It does mean that people are taking a pause and they're asking questions, is this helping America?
Patience also kind of plays into this, or at least the White House is hoping that it does, Frank. When the president urges Americans to be patient, he's saying...
I mean, he's not being patient. He's flip-flopping all the time on his fucking tariffs. So, yeah, man. You can go. That's fucking stupid as shit, dog. What else is that? Man. And Americans aren't happy. Americans are more poor now than they've ever been. I mean, if you look at the 4 years under Biden, wages went up, union jobs went up. There was optimism, more small businesses were opening up.
Quote, don't be weak, don't be stupid. I mean, at some point, that patience must wear thin if the economy isn't trending in the right direction. How much patience do you think these voters will have?
So I need to ask you a question. Did he actually say, don't be stupid? Was that his language, his rhetoric?
It was a quote from the president.
then that is a very bad thing to say. Voters do not like being told that they're stupid. If the president said, don't rush, be patient, good things happen in the long term, the public would have said, I'll accept that. I'll embrace that. You know, I'm a language person. When he's saying don't be stupid, there will be a lot of voters in the center that will regard that as a criticism, an undeserved criticism. Make no mistake, the language of tariffs, the public is still not made up their minds whether this is good or bad. They don't like the opening, but there's still time to recover if the language is proper. Number one, are we on a level playing field? Number two, does the American workforce get every opportunity that other workers get to sell their goods and sell their services? Number three, does it raise or lower the prices that the average American pays for the average items? And number four, and potentially most important, what does this mean for my bottom line, not just now, but 6 months, a year, and 2 years from now? If you were to ask those questions and answer them favorably, then these tariff policies would have public.
Let's see. Ah, man.
Support. But the administration is doing a lousy job communicating this policy, and that's one of the reasons why the public has turned against it.
So, and Frank, look at what his advisors are doing, right? They're sending mixed messages about whether this is a negotiating tactic or whether this is the long haul. But then you have like Elon Musk calling Peter Navarro a moron, and the White House press secretary saying boys will be boys. I mean, I guess at least she acknowledged they're behaving like children. I guess we could say that, if boys will be boys here. But what's the effect on people who are looking at the president's advisors saying all of these different and, you know, insulting at times things?
The average individual doesn't see the difference. The average individual doesn't compare, excuse me, what the Secretary of the Treasury says versus the Secretary of Commerce, or does not really pay attention when Elon Musk attacks the person responsible for trade. What they do see is a level of insecurity, a level of instability, and frankly, this time the stock market matters because so many Americans are using the stock market as the barometer of what Americans think and what the world thinks. And if it continues to crater, that in itself will be the biggest hurdle for this administration to overcome.
Frank Luntz, thank you so much.
And joining us now, Democrat.
And true, I mean, most Americans may not be paying attention to exactly what everyone's saying, but they read the headlines, you know, about Elon Musk and how shitty he is, or the Treasury Secretary or Commerce Secretary or whoever. I mean, you know, they're all shit, they're all terrible, they're all garbage, and we all fucking hate them.
Democratic Congressman from New York, Gregory Meeks, who writes in a new op-ed, Trump's tariffs are a farce. We who are in Congress can and must act. Congressman, thanks for joining us. You're arguing it's time for Congress to step in. So I want you to hear these comments last night from the president. Listen.
These countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal.
So
please, sir, make a deal.
Dark.
I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, you know, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
Congressman, he says you don't negotiate like he does. Your response?
My response is I didn't go bankrupt 6 times. He did. So I don't know why we use his judgment on how to negotiate. He's proven in his own businesses that he goes bankrupt. And what he's trying to do is to kill America with his false and his lying. Because clearly I'm talking to, as the ranking member on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, I've had many foreign ministers and ambassadors that are coming to me. And what they're looking at is how to plan differently. They're not to rely on the United States. And some are looking back to dealing closer with China because of what his activities are. So it's bad for us internationally with our friends who he treats as adversaries. And it's bad for the average everyday working American who these tariffs are taxes to, which would make prices go up. So I wouldn't follow him. He's not a good businessman as far as I'm concerned. I'm from New York. I've seen him go bankrupt at least 6 times.
So, Congressman, what can Congress do?
Well, Congress should be, we have oversight. And he has come up with some false claims at different times with reference to these tariffs. And so what Congress needs to do, first we should vote. We should vote so that we can make sure that there's transparency for all of the American people to see which members of Congress, from Democratic side to the Republican side, are voting in favor of tariffs and who votes against. And then we should then, if we vote the way I think for the American people, to make sure their costs are not going up, inflation doesn't continue to rise, the cost of groceries don't continue to move up, that we're buying electronics and cars, then I think that we would vote for, on behalf of the American people. Congress has the right. We are a separate and equal branch of government, and we should not bow down and just do something because this guy's president who thinks he is the king, but the Constitution.
What you're seeing here is the data making it clear. We've seen in recent days, weeks, Trump lose special elections, right? Lose them in the sense that at the state level, they've lost them in the state houses. They've lost ground in federal races as well, whether or not the seat was lost. Because what you can do is you can look at the presidential election and say, in this area, in these counties, in these polling stations, Trump beat Harris by X. Often say 10, 15 points in this pretty red part of a state. And then say when the state house race happened, the equivalent areas went from plus 15 Trump to Trump losing, or Trump, being +1 or something like that. And what you're seeing with this new polling, guys, makes it clear that the collapse in Trump's numbers translate into massive midterm defeat for Republicans. Again, usually the opposition party wins in the midterms. Even the Republicans, they lost ground in the Senate last time, but even in the Republicans in 2022 did win the House. Not nearly by as much as expected, but they still won it. This time, they're not only expecting the Democrats to eke control of the House back, they're expecting deep red districts. Not the deepest red, but deep red districts, 10, 15 points favoring Trump, to flip. That could be 40, 50 seats flipping Democrat. All because Donald has made it worse. It's often difficult as it is for the governing party in a midterm, even when things go okay. But when the president causes a global, humanity-destroying economic collapse, you're going to lose some friggin' seats.
No, I actually thought he actually lost, Wait, what? Is this real?
That it actually, on the substance, rejected the government's position. The government was arguing in court that it did not need to provide any due process notice to the individuals, so that they could just whisk them away like they did with hundreds of other men. The Supreme Court said emphatically, you must provide them with notice, and not just notice, but meaningful notice so they can actually go into court and challenge their removal. So that's the real takeaway, notwithstanding some of the quick headlines, is that the Trump administration didn't really win anything. It just simply said it won the technical point that you should file in habeas corpus in different places, but not the substance. They wanted the ability to summarily remove people without giving them any notice, and the court could not have been clear. That is not permissible.
Are they actually going to remove him?
Mary, I was not a criminal lawyer, corporate lawyer, so I look at this a little bit differently, and I'll admit, but at least my reading of the Constitution, my understanding of the law, is that habeas corpus, we have the body.
Does not absolve well. But even if habeas is the right way, it's so difficult. I'm not sure any.
I think this is the. I don't know if this is the right video with the right title.
He knows the government hasn't
stayed by the Supreme Court. What does that mean? Get this line.
Yeah.
Of
I don't think these things matches. All right, I'll just remove that one.
I feel like we should start with Liberation Day. This is Sam Cedar, who got invited on the PBD podcast. I'm a big fan of Sam. I like watching his show, The Majority Report. While I don't listen to many other like alt media news broadcasts, he's one of the few that I do. On occasion, mind you. I'm not tuning in every day, so don't ask me about this take or that take. And I think he does pretty well in conversations with conservatives. Of course, in his Jubilee performance, he did very well. Now, that's not to say that he necessarily had the stiffest of competition in every instance, but he did very well when it was a 1v20, having going after one after the other after the other. His channel did very well off of that. People seemed to be quite convinced by a lot of the arguments he was making. And so Sam Cedar is now, seemingly launching off that. He's starting to go on a few other shows. It's good work right now for Sam. And I want to see if he keeps up this role that he's on. But also, today was Liberation Day. The tariff wave has come. We tune into the stock market and all we see is red. So let's see how this group of money interested people, by the way, the PBD podcast, the dude at the top of it, I mean, he likes to consider himself a money man, like a real financial big brain. So I'm interested to see how he reacts to these market contractions as economists warn all across the economic spectrum, warn of a recession.
Set to
and we have a 60% chance to 60% chance to
unleash Liberation Day tariffs.
Okay, let me.
I'm happily fine with TSA preach.
We already got it. I'm moving. Adam,
move on. Okay, I'm learning.
I'm moving on. I already learned. I understand.
Gotcha,
it's
gotcha.
great. So we know what the argument is.
Progressive.
Trump set to unleash Liberation Day tariffs. President Trump will unveil Liberation Day tariffs on Wednesday at 4 p.m.
That was yesterday.
In a White House's Rose Garden, promising to stop America being ripped off and deliver a new golden age of U.S. industry. Though U.S. White House Press Secretary Karen Lehman said that he was still perfecting it to make sure it's a perfect deal with advisors less than 24 hours before. Trump, who on Monday claimed he'd be very kind, has kept details vague with reports suggesting options from reciprocal tariffs to a 20% blanket rate or preferential treatment for some nations. Rob, if you want to play this, is this yesterday, Rob, or is this?
This is yesterday from the Rose Garden. This is
fantastic. Go for it.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time.
Again, 900 auto workers already laid off in places like Iowa and Michigan. Like, auto workers already getting laid off due to the tariffs placed on imported parts that are necessary to construct these cars here.
And I'm guessing that's from Mexico and Canada. And don't forget, Canada, jacked up the energy prices for a lot of those places that make cars. Because, like, New York, Michigan, Milwaukee, Ohio, Indiana, all those fucking places, I don't know, all those fucking states up there, up north. Maybe Pennsylvania, maybe, I don't know. And yeah.
And when you're thinking about, you're an investor trying to think if you're going to invest in the United States, not invest in the United States, invest in this company, invest in that company. Are you going to be investing in O'Reilly's Auto Parts to bet on people repairing the cars right now? Or are you going to invest in the auto industry to rebuild this base that Trump's asking for? Tough transition period.
You're all about to be
April 2nd,
liberated from your money.
2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
I can't wait till Trump's going to be up there like Jimmy Carter. We all need to carpool more. Have we considered carpooling? Remember to take the bus and the metro when you can. And when it comes to energy, wearing sweaters can be helpful to keep the gas prices down. We're not too far off, okay? Just a hop, skip, and a jump.
I love how you mentioned O'Reilly. I mentioned O'Reilly as well in a video I made on TikTok. They were catching some strays, but hey.
Make it wealthy, good and wealthy.
I also have another clip. This is the president discussing how the tariffs will help eliminate income tax. Go for it.
From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good.
Is he talking about individual wealth or like our nation not engaged in a deficit spending because the nature of our economies has transformed radically since the end of the gold standard? And many economists say actually deficit spending, while you should keep it within a few percentage points, is actually wasting economic potential. Because if you have 1 to 2% deficit spending, but if you keep it low enough, then you can actually be bringing in enough income to pay off the interest and getting more economic potential than you would have been than if you would have said, oh, we're not going to invest here. We're not going to invest there. We're not going to use this money. I don't want to get too into specifics here, but the economies have changed radically since 1880. And also, what is wealth in 1880 standards?
Oh yeah, and why is he obsessed with like 1880 and pre, World War I, World War II wealth? Man, back then, not a lot of people had rights back then. I mean, I was like, I think after the Civil War, but I was doing Jim Crow. Is that what he wants to go back to? Jim Crow era America? He does. Well. Blowing her. Also, what else? He also used ChatGPT. Yeah, it's ChatGPT, right? Yeah, ChatGPT. Yeah. Yeah, right. So it was like. Let's see. Was it Trump's new tariff math? Looks like GDP. Yep.
Compared to today, it's just such two radically different times. Such radically different economies.
Problem. Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from.
Mind you, for the average American, we're talking about a $4,000 to $5,000 increase, and that's like right now. Okay, we haven't even seen the reciprocal tariffs that we're going to get from foreign countries and foreign governments who are going to try to respond to this. We're talking about 4,000.
And I know they keep on mentioning 70 countries want to do a trade deal, but why are we doing these individual trade deals? You know, we need to. I think the trade deals we had before were okay. We're gonna make some of them better, but. And also, no one wants our chlorinated chicken and our beef with hormones. Why can't we increase our standards? Why can't we copy, fucking the UK and have better, food and health safety standards? Why do we keep on lowering them instead of improving them? Friggin' RFK has done nothing to help us.
$1,000 increased cost for the average American household, for the median household. I believe the exact number was 3,800, but give us 24 hours, it'll be over 4,000. Wait for some of those reciprocal tariffs, you'll see. I forget the exact number. I think it was 3,800, but still, like, going up to 4K. So how are we wealthier? Who's wealthier? Who is wealthier?
From us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart.
Okay, Tom, your thoughts on this, and I'm going to come to you.
So markets love continuity, even if continuity is rooted in, trade inequality and things have been going on for decades.
Yep.
And to get through the shift, to get through the food poisoning, we can see markets react to sentiment, and markets don't know what to make of this. How many tariffs are going to stay for a day versus a week?
It's also, that's the thing. We don't know what the markets are completely uncertain of what Trump's going to do. Trump could keep one tariff, remove another, but everybody knows.
And also, yeah, that's true. If he removes some tariffs and keeps some, which tariffs are he going to keep on? Like is he going to pick auto, aluminum, steel, energy, oil, gas, food, snacks? I don't know, random iPhone accessories? I don't know, man. The guy's fucking retarded.
Was that Trump in 24 hours could decide, never mind, we're putting the tariff back in place. He said that the deal that he himself negotiated was garbage when he talks about NAFTA Plus. What does that say to you as a foreign leader? That it's just like a matter of time before he needs to put on a show again? So yeah, it creates a lot of uncertainty about the future of being able to import. If you're talking about you're a manufacturer of complex components or complex electronics, complex vehicles, if you're trying to import some doohickey or thingamabobber, the thingamabobber market is out of control right now. If you're trying to bring those things in, that's going to mean increased cost. That's going to mean increased cost for those manufacturers.
This is a month. You don't know how many tariffs are going to ship. Israel actually backed down and said, okay, we're done. Yesterday, correct? Israel went, hang on, we're good. We're backing off. We're done here. Interesting.
What does that even mean? clarify that. They backed off of what? What did they back off of? A trade deficit? What did they clarify that? What does that mean? What were they doing?
Canada moved a couple of them, not the rest of them. Canada's still figuring it out, but they're.
What do you mean Canada is still figuring it out? Canada declared that they were going to do reciprocal tariffs, and if these go in place in 2 days, that's what they're going to do. I mean, this is all really based on the hope that they're just in the next 48 hours, Trump's going to back off of everything, or he's going to back off of these tariffs. How much of the hope is that Trump is just fibbing and it's just all playing like it's playing gay chicken?
Canada is blinking. So now the question is going to be, how long does all this take? And the markets, the markets don't like it. The markets don't like the sentiment of uncertainty.
I mean, he's correct. I mean, whether we like it or not, what we had was pretty good. Was it the best? No, but if you saw what Biden was doing, he was trying to fix some stuff. It was very slowly, but bring some manufacturing jobs back over time, especially high value manufacturing, more union jobs, increase EV production, car parts, chips, things like that. Maybe do more infrastructure projects, things that will help Americans.
And that's why you have Jim Cramer and other people. Oh, we're getting killed out here. You're getting killed because you like the status quo that you had a minute ago, because you knew how to play that game and you knew how those markets worked. And
yeah, if you understand what's going on in the economy, then you can make safer investments. Yeah, if people understand what the government's doing, then they're gonna feel more comfortable investing. You can't control this game. Trump at any point could shoot himself in the foot. Wrecked liberal economists. Got him.
And respectfully, they're there to trade and make money in an increasing market. What is easier? It's easier to stay yesterday with what we've got, or there's a greater goal. And the greater goal is American jobs, and the jobs report was better than people thought.
We're losing manufacturing jobs. We've already lost thousands of manufacturing jobs.
Interesting. That's not a headline. Why is that buried? And you've got the uncertainty of the markets. Now, the uncertainty of markets makes everybody look at their 401k.
By the way, if you look at the manufacturing job reports from Trump's first term, they're not fantastic either.
And look at the things and be concerned. And yes, there's concern there. But you got to look down the street and see where we're going. And it is not easy to get through the food poisoning, but there is life on the other side, and you can see that's what the president is talking about.
It's fucking easy for you to say that shit. You're fucking rich, man. You're on a podcast. Look at you with these nice-ass suits, with all these rich-ass motherfuckers on your goddamn podcast. I bet you can make 6 figures easily. I bet you're making 6 figures every, 2-3 months. I know, with, all the YouTube money, if you add up all the checks. I don't know if you're making 6 figures every month, but it may, if I bet you YouTube is giving you at least, 50, 60K per month, with those checks. You can make yourself, $250,000 pretty easily, brother. Yeah, I can't make that. Look at me, I'm poor as fuck, dog. I'm poor as fuck. I could barely handle, a $200 or $300, game console, man. But I'm saving up my money to buy one to give away to someone else who's not as fortunate as me. A lot of people don't have a job anymore here in 2025 because they're all going away. Manufacturing jobs, retail jobs, fast food jobs. People aren't tipping as much anymore at the restaurants. People aren't tipping anymore for the Uber drivers or the Uber Eats and all that shit. No one's doing any of that. We're so fucking poor.
And I think we got to trust it, and we got to look at what's going on. We can already see little islands of change going on. So let's find out how everybody else moves on these tariffs.
Trust the plan. Trust the plan.
You said tariff was the last word. That was the only time you used the word tariffs. Look, I am in favor of tariffs when it is part of a specific agenda to build a certain industry
but a lot of this is across the board. What does an across-the-board tariff do for us on things like microchip manufacturing when TSMC, the companies you're trying to affect with those tariffs, are already building those facilities in the United States anyway? All that means is increased costs for these microchips for complex components for American electronics. That's all that means. It does nothing for no consumer or building up any industry. It just continues to say, hey, you know that thing you're already doing?
Like Sam is correct. Like most economists will say, like now, especially in the 21st century, you could use tariffs on a very specific thing, like auto manufacturing, motorcycles, maybe EVs, microchips, maybe like airplanes. One sector of the economy. You do that for maybe 6 months to a year, and then it goes away. By that time, that industry should have enough money, investments from the government and from especially local governments to take care of itself.
Keep doing it. Oh, great. And what about all the goods that we import that are seasonal goods that we couldn't make in the United States due to climate conditions? When you talk about certain agricultural goods, there isn't different components for.
Coffee,
And again, people keep
avocados.
talking about, don't worry, just try the American alternative.
What is the American alternative to coffee? We don't make our own coffee or avocados or sakura or matcha or we don't make our own fucking whatever shit whatever beers they have in Germany or Britain or Belgium or Spain. Spain makes really good beers and wines. Same with Italy, beers and wine. In China, Japan, we make our own beers and wine, and they're okay. Sometimes they win awards, sometimes they're not. Who the heck is gonna be drinking Budweiser or Bud Light? No one, because it sucks. I would rather drink the German beer or the Italian wine because that's so much fucking better.
There is 5,000 microphones. Okay, we're back to elementary school. There's 5,000 microphones. And let's say 2,000 of them are made in America, 3,000 of them are made overseas, and you just add a 25% tariff, or depending upon how many borders it crosses, 50% tariff, depending on which countries come or whatever, 90% Vietnam, and you get rid of them. You take them off the shelves, or they've seen this increase in price. If you're the manufacturer of those American microphones, you now have more people coming to you to buy your microphones. Okay? That's the intention. But that also means that your supply is strained more, which increases prices. And not only does it increase prices because your prices are strained more, but because you don't have competition that's global anymore. Now you only have to deal with 330 million potential competitors narrowed down to whoever's in your industry instead of 7.3 billion. And so that's going to mean also increased prices for domestically made goods as well. And when these companies' main motivation is profit, you don't think they're going to take advantage of the bottleneck? Why wouldn't they? Trump would. If he was in their position, you don't think he would? He talked about it all the times. If you set the rules that way, I'm going to break them. That's what he talked about when people asked him, did he buy out politicians and such?
A certain industry within a certain region. This is absolute insanity. First off, they're going to use this as potential revenue. Like he says, it's not going to replace the income tax, but what they're going to do is they're going to use it as an excuse to cut taxes on wealthy people. You guys will be very excited about that. But who's going to pay that tax? If it's $600 billion a year, as they're saying, over a 10-year period, it's going to be $6 trillion. That is going to be an average of $5,000 tax on Americans. It is a regressive tax. I like taxation, but I like progressive taxation because $5,000 for somebody making $40,000 is a much bigger problem than $5,000 for me or for you. And so this is a regressive tax on Americans. Now, if it's to work.
Yeah. I love how politicians love jacking up our taxes, especially regressive tax, sales tax, sin tax, and all those other bullshit. But they never put any new taxes on the rich or the wealthy, these fucking corporations. They all pay like zero taxes, and I fucking hate it. It's stupid, it's dumb, it's retarded.
to build up industry. And I don't know how we're going to have a banana industry in this country or how we're going to have a lumber industry to rival Canada's because we just don't have the wood and so on. I mean, people get the idea. You know, there's certain industries you can actually say, this is one we're going to build.
Also, do we want to cut down those trees? Right? We already have a green space deforestation problem.
Up. Maybe there will be a low-cost clothing business that revives in this country, but I doubt it. But if tariffs are meant to work to build up industry, that means people aren't paying those taxes. So the tariffs may not raise the money, but what will happen is, and I think you understand this too about pricing, if the price of goods goes up on average, and it looks like in some of these places it's going to go way above 10%. I mean, some of Vietnam, like 39%, China, 75%. They're adding all these tariffs on it. It's insane. Then U.S. companies, to the extent that there are ones that are making these same goods, they have between 0 and 75% to raise their prices. And they will because, the price of this, there's a certain elasticity, and they can justify raising their prices 5% if their nearest competitor is, 25% raise in price. I mean, they'll do it because, there's some products that people just can't do without. So this is such a disaster.
Talk about egg prices. Remember when they were only $4, maybe $3.50 to $4 just back in November, and now they're like $10 fucking, maybe 15 very soon. Oh man.
And of course, what it also does is, last time we had a major financial crisis in this country in 2008, it took 6 years for the stock market to get back at parity. You're talking about 401ks have been a disaster insofar as people just don't put as much money in them as they should because they don't have the money on a regular basis. But God help those people if there wasn't Social Security, a robust Social Security, because if you've got to retire and you're 65 and you were planning on retiring, and you have a small 401k, it is screwed. And it may not come back for years. Maybe it'll come back tomorrow. But
yeah, I'm guessing if it took 6 years from the financial crisis, I'm guessing it's going to take 10 years for this one.
How do you feel about reciprocal tariffs?
Here's the other absolute insanity. Those tariffs that he claimed on that chart are not tariffs. Every economist out there has been saying
it's crazy. The math equation that they put out there is it's tied to no economic logic. The Trump equation. This is how they got their tariff number. And again, tariff means tax. It means tax placed upon imported good. The way he did it was by taking the total amount of goods exported by said country and then minusing the total amount of imported goods from the United States that they take from us, minusing that from that, then taking the number from that and dividing it by the total amount of exported goods towards the United States. Now, if that seems confusing and okay, why is that the method? It's because it is. And I think the reason that they did it in this manner is to confuse people as to how they got these numbers in the first. I honestly think that's part of the reason. I think part of the reason is to confuse people. I do think that the Trump administration is pretty obsessed with trade surpluses and trade deficits, and this is really what it's about. It's not about tariffs. It's not about reciprocal tariffs. It's about eliminating the trade deficits that we have with countries like Vietnam. But Vietnam is not going to be.
But the reason we have these trade deficits with these countries is because we import a lot of stuff. We import a lot of cheap stuff. We do sell stuff to them, and we sell services to them. People forget about the service industry. We sell our services to countries, and a lot of countries sell services to us. But my God, they don't think. They don't know anything.
Be able to get rid of its massive trade deficit with the United States, especially when, again, we wanted companies to go to Vietnam to export to the United States as a competitor to China, as somewhere a company could go to that would not have the same supply chain risks as the Chinese. I would still have some, definitely considering the region it is, the waters it has to travel to get to the United States, but not as many potential political supply chain risks. And now we're just throwing a huge wrench in that by saying that tariff, and this is the way he's talking to the public. He's saying that Vietnam has a 90% tariff on the United States. 90% tariff. on its face, it's ridiculous. There's no 90% tariff on American goods being imported. He's talking about a specific like trade surplus. He's talking about a trade surplus. These are totally different economic ideas. But if he just tells people they're trading more with us than we are with them.
Also, another thing is the reason we have stuff in Vietnam is because, you know, Vietnam's a cheap place, just like China, just like India and Pakistan, Bangladesh, and like Mexico and a few other places around the world, because it's cheap. It's cheaper to make it there, and you can turn around and sell. You know, you can make those, you know, those polos for pennies on a dollar, and turn around and sell it for $40, $50.
So we need to tariff them, and explaining it in that manner is not as easy to justify as, oh, they're taxing us, so we're taxing them. So if you just say they're taxing us, even if they're not taxing us at the rates that our government's talking about, the rates they're talking about are complete lies. It's an easier campaign message. And like, again, and I said this earlier on today's stream, you come home for your 9 to 5. You work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You get home to your wife and kids. Are you going to spend that time breaking down complex trade agreements? Or are you going to spend that time eating around the dinner table and jerking off? Probably the latter.
Saying, where did he get these numbers?
I guess in my scenario, it was a loveless marriage.
We're starting to figure out that they did some weird... There's countries on there that don't even have people in them. It's bizarre. They took like the CIA fact book and just made a list of countries. I mean, it's completely for show.
Which countries?
Google it. There's like 1 or 2 places where there's no people.
Every single one of those countries.
No, they released a bit.
The Falkland Islands got its own specific tariff rate. Every single country is a gigantic. The Falkland Islands are gigantic. There's more sheep than people. That this is the economic powerhouses we need to declare war upon. There are certain islands that we have placed tariffs on that is entirely inhabited by penguins. We're tariffing penguins just for show, just for performance. The penguins have been ripping off the United States for too long. Those jobs could be going, those acting jobs and Happy Feet, they could be going to. So, no, they're not all gigantic countries. Some of these countries are not even countries.
Big release. He'll find it. And these are not actual tariffs that are being applied to us.
Every single one of these countries.
There is China. India. Are we sure there's people there?
China, the EU, Vietnam, Taiwan, Japan,
Do it
India,
South Korea.
He's starting with the big ones. He's saying he's naming the countries he knows.
Thailand, Switzerland, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Which of those countries aren't there not people living?
The McDonald's Islands.
Occurred.
They make me question freedom of expression.
Got a tier 2 subscription.
Thank you, Ukraine Groiper, the most progressive member of the community, as know. Man, they make me question freedom of expression, man. I'll always come back to it, but sometimes some people say something so stupid, so asinine. You just gotta think, man, everyone got rights. Everyone got them. This guy too. This guy too. He listed off the big countries off the list and said, which one of those are not big countries? It's a list with 60 countries on it. Again, if you went through all of them, Falkland Islands, or again, go to these lower ones on the list. He just started with India. Yeah, if you start with India, people know that India is a country.
Yeah, India has 1 billion people, man. Same with China, over 1 billion people.
It's like I'm telling you that this book has problems with its writing, and then you read one page, the first page of the book, and you close it and said, I didn't see any spelling mistakes.
Put in the Trump just added a tariff on a country with no.
All right, but okay, so
Trump,
a country that maybe
tariff
it's
penguins.
just an indication of how
Tariff penguins. There, that's all you need. You type that. You just Google that shit, dog.
slapdash this is.
No, dude.
But these are not tariffs. These are not
on one random little.
Those reciprocal tariffs. They're
What do you
not.
mean random little? If you're tariffing 60 countries, is like, oh, it's a random little tariff. That they got 10% tariff on any country across the board. That's a big tariff. That's a big tax. If you went to the American people and said, you're going to pay a 10% just tax, don't use the word tariff, tax on XYZ, or 50% when we're talking about Chinese goods, they're not going to take that as, oh, it's just a 10% tax. Oh, it's just a 10% increase in the sales. It's 10%. If we're putting tariffs out there, if we're changing our economic policy this way, if we're changing the entire basis for which American wealth was built upon in the post-World War II global structure, it has to be done with some thought put into it. And if you're tariffing countries that don't have people in them to trade goods with you, then you have to think that there is a certain amount of just grab whatever you can, throw it in the basket, and just keep going. Just, it is slapdash. I think that's an accurate description. I mean, just think of the logic they use to get to these tariff numbers that puts Vietnam at 90%, a ridiculous number.
They're not, those aren't tariffs. He is combined. He is basically what they've.
Like when I look through the actual numbers, I'll see like 36%, 40%, 60%. I'll look at the actual number and the tariff number is like 2%. They're off by margins so ridiculous that even comparing them is by near impossible.
Tried to figure out is like, where'd they get these numbers from? And they have taken the trade deficit and divided it by what we send there. And that's the way that they've assumed that that's a tariff. It's basically, they're just saying we have these trade deficits. And of course we have trade deficits with certain places, because there's some products that we're just never going to make. And there's some places that don't have the buying power that we have. I mean, so this is just bizarre. And even like.
Also, Australia is one of the rare countries we actually have a trade surplus with, not a trade deficit. And yet they still got hit with tariffs. I mean, Israel, we slap tariffs on them. Why Israel?
What could the Cambodians do to eliminate our trade deficit with them? What are they supposed to buy from the United States? Is the goal just to get them to budge a little bit and just see what kind of concession, just shock them all with economic recession? The possible, just basically pull the pin on an economic hand grenade and say, buy more American or die. Is that the strategy? Because there's a fault to that strategy is, you're holding the grenade.
Former Trump trade people were just like, well, maybe it's just an opening salvo for a negotiation. And maybe it is. I mean, I'm just fortunate that I'm not planning on retiring soon and my 401k isn't decimated. But this is going to cause inflation. And these prices are not going to come down. I mean, Trump is trying to tell.
I think I saw one of the estimates put out for the year-on-year inflation rate increase because of this. And we already saw inflation has not benefited from the first few months of the Trump term. But the numbers that I saw was a 2.3% on top of what's already happening increase in inflation on top of the $3,800 impact per household. If you're curious. Where my numbers come from, it comes from Yale, the Yale Budget Lab specifically.
U.S. automakers don't raise your prices, and if he wants to impose price controls, he would not be the first Republican president to do this. Nixon was the first president and the only president, as far as I know, to do price controls, at least in the modern era. I'm not necessarily against price controls in certain situations, but this is like such an own goal. It's fascinating.
And remember, didn't they accused of Biden of doing market manipulation? I mean, and price controls.
Of course.
No, Jimmy Carter's wage and price controls for decades before Nixon. Whoops. Checking my notes. No, leave this after.
Wait, did you say Jimmy Carter came before Nixon?
Well, I look, maybe I'm stupid. Why are we talking about Jimmy Carter? What did Jimmy Carter's price controls have to do with what?
It wasn't just Nixon.
Okay, so Sam's as confused as I am. So I'm not just. There wasn't like a. Is there a point there that I'm not identifying? Was that
This moron said Jimmy Carter's price control came before Nixon? No, Nixon was the first one to start. Jimmy also had to do some as well, and then he got rid of it. When Reagan came in.
a zinger of some? Yeah, was that a zinger? Was that supposed to be a zinger? I feel very unzinged. I'm feeling no zinginess in my blood.
Well, Nixon started it, right?
And there was no other president since
Nixon started it.
I was just kind of correcting that.
Okay.
Back to
I'm for price controls.
You are for price controls.
Well, I think we should have applied some in the wake of COVID. Yes, there was a lot of gouging going on. I think everybody knows that.
Adam.
I think it's.
I mean, there's plenty.
Hell, even the Trump team, after they got elected, they started talking about price gouging as one of their reasons for why the prices are up in order to divert. So, I mean, I don't know. Both Harris and Trump eventually, at some point, yapped about price gouging. So it's supposed to be. It would be supposedly bipartisan, but nothing's bipartisan because bipartisanship depends upon working with the other team.
Of data that at least 40% of the inflation was a function of gouging in some form or another.
Well, Sam, number one, respect for you for being here. I don't think, like, genuinely, whether you're a progressive or democratic socialist or
why? What's with the whiskey barrel thing behind that? I've been thinking about buying a whiskey barrel for my my apartment, and I looked at those as one of the options. But I want to get like a full whiskey barrel as like a shelf. I just feel like it's a much bigger statement than like I don't know, the desk fake semi whiskey barrel. Just like if you're gonna get a whiskey barrel, just go full in on the whiskey barrel. Go full in, like go in or go home.
Q socialist. You're talking to a bunch of capitalists and an angry patriot. That's cool. Like, we're not going to change your mind. You're probably not going to change our mind. But what we're solving for is the truth, the reality.
I love how they call themselves all a bunch of capitalists. So what? Are you saying Germany's not capitalist? I mean, yeah, they're socialists as well. The UK, Canada, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Bulgaria, Romania. Are you saying those aren't capitalist either?
Is these reciprocal tariffs, what Pat asked you about. Are you familiar with the golden rule?
Do unto others as you want to do unto them. Is that
bingo? Do you abide by the golden rule?
I mean, in my personal relationships, yes.
There you go. So the golden rule is you want to do something to me, I'm going to do it to you. If you treat me fairly, I'll treat you fairly. If you're good with me, I'll be good with you. But if you want to,
constitutes fair?
Hold on, guy.
Okay, well, if that's the policy we want the Trump administration to abide by, then I don't think that.
Yeah, they don't follow the golden rule. They don't follow anything, any crisis teaching.
You know, Poles or Brits or all these Europeans dying in caves in Afghanistan, and then being told, "Oops, your defense doesn't matter." Seems like the golden rule: do upon others or what you would do, what you'd want them to do to you. If we have 9/11 too. And we have another big terror attack. How eager are these countries going to be to stick their necks out to go send their youth to go die chasing whatever terror group decided to do that? I'm just saying, like, if we're going to apply this principle, we need to expand it outside this administration, outside of the conversation just around tariffs, which I don't even think this works on tariffs. Because again, Sam explained the rates that they are saying are tariffs, the 90%, the this percent, that, they're just made up numbers. And a lot of the instances, they're saying they're double digits, like 60%, 70%, crazy tariffs, and it's a single-digit tariff. Or it has to do with like quotas, where you hit to a certain level, and above that quota, you hit a tariff. But I mean, we have that as well to protect American businesses.
If you want to actually take advantage of me, then all of a sudden we might have to have a economic
People
war.
are so stupid.
And that's what's happening. So if you show up that list, I know you want to focus on the one random country that you can't name. Hold on.
Tell us how England is taking advantage of us.
Well, England is part of the UK. We understand that. But if you want to
Okay.
England is part of the UK. His question was, some people, you just need to turn off the microphones. The question was, okay,
he can't answer the question. He's just deflecting or doing whataboutism and spouting out some one stupid bullshit. My God.
Comes out and he says, you know, we're getting back at those getting at us. That we're, you know, they've been screwing us, so we're screwing them. Is the essentially like, you know, eye for an eye is the philosophy he's putting forward. He says, you know, you can bring up the random penguin country, you know, why we're getting back at the penguins, and you know, that's whatever. But most of these countries, you know, they're screwing us. Okay, England. Why is England screwing us? England's in the United Kingdom. We already know that. And then he just moves on. What did he think was going to happen? Of course he was going to ask you to, okay, how's this country screwing us? Of course he's going to go through the list of countries. How's Ukraine screwing us? How's this country screwing us? What did he expect? What was that with England's in the... He was talking about the UK. What did you think he was talking about? That's just plain silly. And you see how quickly he said it too? It's silly rhetoric. It's trying to move away from a potent question to go back to his like eye for an eye spiel.
England is taking advantage of us.
Well, the one random country that you can't name. Hold on.
Tell us how England is taking advantage of us.
Well, England is part of the UK. We understand that. But if you want to go
how is
numbers,
the UK?
Sorry, I paused again. It's just painful.
It's painful for me too, man.
My goodness. If I die from a brain tumor, can you guys send my bill to the PBD podcast? Thank you for the $5 Canadian. When are you expecting your passport? Good show tonight. I finally got my state ID. I haven't said this on stream. Let me tell you guys, one of the most painful... Okay, God, we're supposed to finish this segment, but I'm just going to throw this out here. I filed for my state ID right after my house burned down because I knew that I was supposed to go to Ukraine. So I file for it. They lose it in the mail. And they don't know where it is. And they didn't even tell me either. I waited like a month and a half, and I thought this is the longest ID. I need to get my state ID before I can get a passport because I need a state ID to like, hey, here's my official documentation in order to get it. And I finally go there. They just lost it. I'm just thinking, is there like a Dylan Burns ID just flying around, floating around somewhere? Just lost. And you want to know the worst part?
Okay.
Hold, Sam.
Taking advantage.
Hold on. You know, when people talk, you listen, and then when you talk, I listen. That's how conversations go. You know that.
I'm just asking you to clarify your statement.
I'm going to get there. So the way that these tariffs work is if they're doing something
to be clear, he's not answering how is England screwing us quite. He doesn't know how to answer how the UK is screwing us. You want to know what's the truth? We're probably screwing the UK. You want to know why? Because the UK decided that they wanted to, you know, wave around their, and I'm sorry, this is the bluntest way to put it. They wanted to wave around their flag, drink their tea and crumpets. They wanted to feel super independent. They decided they were going to leave the European Union because they were going to control their own borders. Then they left the European Union. They didn't get all the NHS money that they said they were going to get, or at least the pro-EU Brexit campaigners said they were going to get. They didn't get control of their own borders. They didn't have a solution for the Ireland crisis because there was a real threat that the Irish were going to start shooting each other again. Because, oh, snap, you're going to close the border in Northern Ireland. You're going to violate the Good Friday Agreement. If you want to get the IRA back to doing car bombs, it's violating the Good Friday Agreement. And they have all these problems that just make Brexit a disaster. That has turned the large majority of the British public against Brexit, where they voted for it, but now 66% of Britons think it was a terrible idea, right? Now,
all right. I think that's why I'm gonna be ending my stream. I gotta go to sleep. Fuck. I apologize, dudes, but that's what I gotta do. Alright. Les. to raid someone. Who will be worthy of such a raid? Alpha Anarchy, Corgi, Slushy Otter. Alright, let's go with this guy. Biopod Gaming. I'm playing Fallout 76. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves. I just got some bad news. I'm looking at the freaking USA to Canadian exchange rate, and it's going down. We're not going up, we're going down. Fuck, that's so bad. Fuck Trump. He's fucking up our economy.
Put a bounty on me.
It shouldn't. InugamiTheHound, thank you for that raid. What are you doing? Oh, you're just chatting. Nice. How was your stream?